Hey everybody, welcome to Why Is This a Podcast? We are still in the middle of a global pandemic. COVID-19 continues to claim lives, continues um, to hurt families. It's awful. Um, Obviously, many people are suffering economically. They're losing their businesses, they're losing their jobs. I just want to take a brief um, moment to say I'm so glad I'm able to do this. It's really lovely to do something that you love um, with people that you love. Now, I am really excited to talk to an Indian entrepreneur who's won more awards than I've had hot dinners. She is the co-founder and managing director of SBAG Asia and director of Yellow Elephant. Joining me from India is Shivani Gupta. Hey, Shivani.
Hi, Kiran.
How are
Thanks.
you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me over.
Oh,
Yeah, good,
thanks,
good.
thanks for being here. I think I said SBAG India. I should
SBG.
reiterate it's SBAG Asia.
Yeah, yes, SBG.
My apology.
And the yellow elephant. It is DYE, which is a digital arm of strategic.
Right. Okay. We've established my incompetency early on. That's always a good sign. How,
Not
how,
at.
how are you?
I'm good, Kiran. Thank you so much.
I'm really happy to have you on because it's the second time I've interviewed you. I interviewed you for Health Issues India last year. This is the first time for Why Is This a Podcast? Our audiences are quite different. So before, just to ask, what is SBAG Asia? And what can you tell me about that for people who don't know?
Sure. So SPAG Asia is part of Strategic Partners Group, which is a group company, and SPAG Asia is the integrated marketing communication firm based out of India, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and of course we are expanding in that region. So yeah, many more to be soon to be added, and of course primarily in public relations, advocacy, and the sectors that is our core are healthcare sector, technology, startups, and something that we have recently started is employee engagement and employer branding, which is something very interesting, and we are doing some great work on that. And apart from that, DYE, the Yellow Elephant, is the digital arm under Strategic Partners Group, and that is more like a creative and digital side of what we do.
As I alluded to in sort of my preamble, obviously a lot of people are suffering with businesses closing, jobs being lost in India, UK, and elsewhere. Um, how was how was 2020, the pandemic as a whole? How was that for SBAG?
Like for everyone else, I think 2020 has been a very challenging year. And I mean, of course, the whole shift from, the physical office to work from home space, which is, the technology challenges, and obviously keeping everyone's sanity, and, taking care of your employees in terms of the mental peace. And there was so much of anxiety, stress everybody was going through, the stress of uncertainty, the stress of anxieties of losing jobs, or the anxiety of COVID-19. So I think there was, apart from taking care of the business, there was lots in plate too in terms of, and more rather, I think, in terms of to take care of your people. which definitely was very challenging. And I think we learned and evolved a lot with that. We learned with our, each day, with each step. I think we evolved with it, we innovated, we created. It has been quite challenging in more ways than anything else. But yes, I think it has also taught a lot to all of us, and it has. We won a couple of awards as well, and we've been like now into officially in the large agency category. We got recognition at global platforms. I think, yeah, we just kept going with the flow, and we kept, of course, we had to be agile, and we had to be more change couple of the thought process, thinking, the strategy, and we had to be very spontaneous with things. We There was no time to sit and wait and wait for what is now next. I think as things went, as things were happening, we kept innovating, we kept recreating and reinventing the wheel.
Adapting,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
adaptation, which is
Adaptation, yes, and also kept reinventing the wheel in terms of doing different things and doing it differently, and that was something that as a team, everyone as a team. It's not just the leadership. Leadership definitely led our the team very well, and yes, the team stood with each other, which is something incredible. And I think these were the times when everybody was put to test. So I think we did pretty well. All of us did pretty well in that part of the thing. And yes, otherwise also we grew in Southeast Asia region, and we aim to grow more there.
it's good. I mean, that's great to hear. It's not something that I'm ignorant of because obviously, yeah, I work with SBAG in my regular job, and it's always lovely to speak to you and your team and everybody. And it's a well it's a well I've forgotten the phrase. It's a well-oiled ship. It's a
Okay.
well-oiled ship,
Well, also, yes.
and everybody coming together, supporting each other's well-being and their their welfare in practical terms. In terms of because this is a time of such economic insecurity
Absolutely,
in
absolutely.
particular, but also mental distress, as you mentioned. Um, it's so important. So I'm glad that that's been your experience because, of course, and it's been my experience with Hadaris, Toronto, and Baird CMC, the company that employs me. For those who don't know, it's unaffiliated with this show, but Adaris and Bids are both, they're incredible companies to work for, and I absolutely love it. And they really, really take an interest in people's, in their employees' welfare. But obviously, that's not the experience for everybody else. It's not the experience for people in other jobs. Um, One of my my catchphrases, I suppose, during the pandemic has been that the only certainty is uncertainty. 2021, how do you see that? How do you see 2021 going for SBAG?
I'm quite optimistic about 2021. Not that there won't be any challenges. There will be still many challenges, and challenges are going to be part of the business or life. And yeah. But yes, I think we are all geared up. Like I said, we kept reinventing, re-strategized, innovated. So there's a lot of work that leadership has done in terms of the strategy, the vision that we have for 2021, the expansion plans that we have. From healthcare sector, we got into technology, startup, and employee branding, employee engagement, and employer branding. So yes, and we have a lot of plans to kind of further expand into that, and which is something what we are all geared up with. We've been working hard on for it, and I think that's what the team is prepared for. Team has worked in terms of the planning. Team has worked in terms of upskilling themselves. Teams have worked in terms of adapting, like whatever has been the challenges and whatever we have learned all these in all these months. So I'm quite optimistic, and we are all geared up for 2021 expansion and the larger growth that we are aiming for.
Great to hear. I do want to ask a question about something that you're passionate about, I know, and something that's very, very important, which is the empowerment of women in the workplace. Um, COVID-19 has obviously disproportionately affected women um, at the global level in India. In the context of the workplace, why is it important that we address those issues?
So I have been quite passionate about this subject right from very beginning, and since the time when I started working, it was, I think it just started more like a step by step approach towards it. As you experience and as you see things, and as you see there are women out there who would want to work, but there is no support system, whether it's from the family or from the organization, the environment, which is not a very women friendly environment in terms of the policies or in terms of the safety. So, and what I feel, and especially during the COVID times, what we have seen that when the women had to, who wanted to work, they had to give up on jobs just to be the caretakers and, to take care of the families. And there was a report the other day I read a couple of months back, which said that, 40% of the jobs which were lost in the sectors which was the retail, which was hospitality, tourism. So 40% of the women were working in those sectors, and so that is something they had to quit the jobs because, one, of course, of the sector that got impacted. Second, I think there have been many other reasons in terms of they could not, there was nothing like work from home in couple of sectors.
Yeah.
And there is, and even in the organizations where there was an option for work from home, women could not opt for it because of a lot of domestic load, and in terms of the requirement they had to take care of the small kids when the schools were shut, they had to take care of the families, they had to take care of the elderly. So yes, so what is actually seen is that women lost out on the opportunities which were like, we all as a world were trying to bridge that gap,
Mm.
which was the gender inequality. And I think again we have gone maybe a step back during these times, because that, I think, if we had reached somewhere, probably again we have, it's started to creep in.
Mm.
And yeah, because of the situation, but this has to be handled right away. This is the time to handle it right now. Otherwise,
Do,
once it starts to creep in again, it's going to be very difficult, and it's going to take a lot of time for the world to again work on it.
do you think that say in not just India, of course, but I think virtually every country has had to have a reckoning with this issue. So we in the UK we've had reports of increased exposure as a result of lockdown measures to sexual violence in the
Yeah.
home, to domestic violence.
Yes.
One thing I do genuinely believe I believe this with the utmost sincerity, is that countries don't learn their lessons from crises. And I think that's true on pretty much every level. I don't think we've learned the lessons of COVID-19 in terms of why it's important to adequately fund health, education, infrastructure, energy, and certainly addressing issues related to gender-related violence. Do you think that we are going to learn the lessons and act accordingly?
So, okay, now learning the lesson is something that not one section of the society will have to do. This everybody will have to do, like in terms of whether you're talking about, government participating in it, the society at large participating in it, the families, when you're talking about supporting a woman, supporting the women of the family. So how are you going to be taking care of that? When we talk about handling the COVID-19 situation, I think everything has to be in sync and aligned. It never can work in isolation, even if there are policies which organizations work on. There are, whether it's the safety policies, whether there are cultural policies, whether it is diversity and inclusion policies. Unless and until there is a support from the government as well as support from the families, it's very difficult to work in tandem. And I think which is what is very important. It is time. It's the time to learn our lessons. It's time to grow. And already the whole world has lost out on the GDPs. There are very clear and simple basic steps that needs to be put in place right away, which should be taken care of rather than pushing it, brushing it under the carpet, which will not help anybody. So if somebody has to learn, they have to learn right now.
There's, it's obviously sort of the loss of gains we've made against diseases such as malaria,
Yeah.
um, the various neglected tropical diseases. We've lost that progress in many senses. It's not so much that we can't recover it, but the progress that we made, the gains that we made, we we've almost squandered it through neglect, through neglect, through apathy, and just this the engagement that we had with the sentiment that we need to tackle these diseases, we need to tackle these issues in our societies. Now that plateaued, and now the pandemic has just shown us, quite bluntly,
Yeah.
and indeed tragically, we really fucked that up.
Yeah.
Because we really, really shouldn't have let our eye get off the ball.
Yeah.
We really should have had a better appreciation of why these issues are important,
Yeah.
of the far-reaching consequences of letting them go unchecked. I don't like swearing on this show.
Yeah.
I'll say it, but I will say it again. We really fucked this up.
Absolutely. And I think one important point is that, yes, we reached that stage of, this COVID-19 year of COVID-19, and it's going to be an ongoing thing for now, at least. But yeah, important is to even understand right now. Important is to even understand what is important. How is it going to be like, how can we cut down on it? How we can curtail the disease? How we can figure out what
How,
are the
how are we
exactly.
going to go forward?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's everybody will have to understand that. And I see a lot of people still, like it really pains me when I see people not wearing masks and they feel they are like not gonna be affected. It pains you because I don't know what is at the back of the mind. Are people not seeing what is happening around? Are people not reading news, watching news? What is happening? I don't know. People really need to
Yeah,
understand that. And
I wear a mask whenever I'm in a retailer. I wear a mask whenever I'm in a retailer. I don't wear one outside. I don't wear one outside. Um, but if I was told to, they said, right, you wear a mask outside, you're protecting people. But
yes,
yeah, well, fine, I'll do it. I don't want to kill my grandparents.
of course, of course.
And I don't know why that's like why that is now a controversial political opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to kill the elderly.
Yes.
So
Anybody.
I'll wear a mask.
Anybody. There could be people out there with comorbidities, and so I think it's important for us to be more compassionate towards the world now. If
I,
not compassionate about yourself.
I don't get me wrong. Me as much as anybody, I miss licking my neighbour's doorknobs.
Mhm.
I miss coughing on the elderly. I miss that. I used to do that, but I don't anymore because apparently it's a public health risk, so I won't do it. That was entirely sarcastic for anybody watching. Please don't report me to the police. Shivani, it's lovely to see you. Before I let you go, just a question that I think is really important, which is about like the balance of coverage of COVID-19, because India, as I understand it, it's got like prominence from your home to the largest vaccine manufacturer in the world, the Serum Institute of India. But on the whole, lower middle income countries, for me, it seems like you're shut out of the conversation. It's largely oriented around the West, the wealthier countries. Um, do you agree with me there? If so, what are the problems there? What are the complications?
Sorry, complications in vaccinations?
Vaccinations in particular, but also to sort of because I understand that India is undergoing its second wave.
Mhm, mhm.
But then there's also, lack of resources, lack of financing. And for me, it just doesn't seem like enough attention is being paid to these issues.
Yeah, so there are two aspects to it, of course. One, what we are talking about, second wave. Yes, there is a second wave apparently, and which I think suddenly probably India had thought that COVID has left the country and almost gone from here, but it did not, and it's back with a bounce. And that's definitely something which, like I said earlier, also people really need to think about and be more careful than what they were actually in 2020 also. Secondly, about vaccinations, yes, there is now definitely a hope, and people need to get themselves vaccinated. And lack of resources to an extent for this particular aspect, I think it is being handled pretty well till now. In terms, of, I think the pace at which vaccination is happening, the I think we are considering the large population we have. I think we are doing pretty well in terms of the pace, in terms of now. Earlier they started with the elderly 60, 65 above, and now they've also opened for 45 plus. And I think the pace is pretty good. If the pace is good, that means they have people, they have the resources, they have the people, they're pretty prepared for it. But the bigger concern is people are still not sure about, not convinced about getting themselves vaccinated, which is a bigger challenge. That challenge is something that needs to be addressed by the communication firms, along with the government. Because if the messaging is not going, just telling get yourself vaccinated is not going to serve the purpose. I think it is important to educate people there, give the right message. And how that right messaging can happen is,
Mm.
it cannot happen in isolation. It has to happen with the,
That's multi-sectoral. It has
yes,
to
the
be multi.
trusted partners.
Mm.
And it has to happen between a group of people, a group of organizations. So that is a larger challenge right now, to kind of spread across that message of getting vaccinated.
The co-founder and managing director of SBAG Asia and Yellow Elephant. Shivani Gupta, everybody, from Why Is This a Podcast? Thanks for watching.